Alright, so I wanted to share this build I've been trying out. Um, and before I get into it, I just want to kind of explain the shortcomings of the build. So it's very, very bad when it comes to boss damage. It's the absolute worst. You have to pretty much just brain burst your bosses to death. Um, and it is just terrible for that. Something else it's not good at, but it's definitely not terrible at, is Carapace. I think, as far as the Psyker is concerned, probably the best weapon for Carapace is either the Surge Staff or the Trauma Staff. Um, but, the Voidstrike can one-shot Crushers. It's just if you've got a group of like 12 Crushers, it is going to take a long time to kill them, whereas the Surge Staff would do the job much more quickly. So I just wanted to call those two things out, and then everything else this build can, excel at. So let's quickly start by looking at some of the more interesting aspects of the build, and then we'll go into more of the detail. Our main weapon is going to be the Voidstrike staff, and the reason for that is not only because the damage profile is so good, but let's take a second to look at that. So 1300 damage on a weak spot hit across the board, and then 1700 almost for a crit weak spot hit. So that's pretty crazy. And then what really makes this an amazing weapon is these two blessings and how they synergize alongside one of the traits we have access to. So first we've got Blazing Spirit, which is 3 stacks of Soulblaze on a crit. Now the way this works is anything hit by the AOE of the orb will trigger the Soulblaze. So if you watch here, that's the kind of area of effect of that Soulblaze, and it's significant enough to straight up kill most weak enemies. And then the rest of the burning there was from something else that we'll look at. So that's Blazing Spirit. And then the second blessing is Surge, which will fire 2 orbs when we crit. And so what that doesn't say is that both of those orbs are going to crit. And that synergizes with Blazing Spirit, which means instead of doing 3 stacks of Soulblaze when we crit, we're effectively doing 6. So not only are we doing more damage, direct damage from Surge, we're also doing more Soulblaze in that big area, which is why it did so much damage. And so what we want to do with this build is stack crit chance so that we can proc these two things as frequently as possible. And then that brings us into the next interaction, which is right here with True Aim. So this says landing 5 weak spot hits grants your next ranged attack a guaranteed critical. That's why I knew the attack I was about to do there was going to be a crit. But there is a way to abuse this with the staff we're using. So first I'm going to show you how this works. So you'll notice under my health bar there's a little buff there, and that's the coherency buff saying that I'm alone. There's just one person here, and that's me. And you're going to see a buff show up there after I attack one of these snipers. Well, there's a bunch of buffs, but there's only one that's not temporary, and it's the last one. And you'll notice the icon on that is the same as the icon from this here, from True Aim. So that's saying we've landed one of our weak spot hits, and we need to do 4 more to get that free crit. But the Voidstrike staff pierces, so if I fire an orb there, I'm at 5 stacks now. So let me spawn these guys. My next hit is going to be a crit, so let's use it. Oh, I have it again, because it pierced and it hit 5 weak spots. Oh, I have it again. Oh, I have it again, right? And so you just keep going forever. Now obviously, in the heat of combat, you can't necessarily take advantage of that every time. But, when the stars line up and you have a good position or something, what's going to happen is you're going to do a crit every time, which means if you do a full charge, you're going to be dealing, what was it, 1700 damage almost? Yeah, times 2 because of Surge, plus you're going to apply 6 stacks of Soulblaze to everything in the area, and you're going to do this with every single hit. Um, and so very quickly what happens is there's just nothing left to keep the ball rolling with, and so you stop critting. And really, most of the time when you're running this build, the only reason you're not just doing obscene amounts of damage is because there's not enough stuff alive to do that. And that's kind of a good thing because this build is at its best when the situation is at its worst, and that's really what you want in a game like this. A lot of builds will focus on kind of the easier side. When things are going well, the build goes well, but then there's a snowball effect where everything falls apart, and the more difficult the situation, the more it falls apart. But this is the opposite. This gets stronger and stronger as the situation gets more and more difficult. Um, so obviously there are situations where shit hits the fan and you can't take advantage of that. But that doesn't mean that the perk is useless, right? You're still going to land weak spot hits, and it's still going to increase your overall crit chance significantly, especially if you at least try to land weak spot hits. Some of them will miss, but it is going to make a difference. If it's not every hit, it might be 1 in 2 hits, 1 in 3 hits. 1 in 3 hits means that the perk is doing nothing, right? Because we have a base of 30%. So you you are guaranteed to get more than 1 in 3 hits, pretty much, if you're aiming for people's faces. Uh, so that's it. Now there is a variation of this build which focuses on pure crit chance, and you lose the Soulblaze if you go down that route. And in terms of what the impact of that would be on gameplay, this build here offers more area damage, and it does offer slightly less direct damage as a result because we have more of a focus on the Soulblaze. I do think it's a trade-off that is worth doing because the Soulblaze will, you'll see in a minute, but it really does do a lot of damage, and it makes it so much easier to use this weapon for like ad clear and horde clear, and it just becomes your main weapon at that point. So let's maybe look at the build in more detail. We looked at all the Soulblaze stuff, we looked at all the main stuff. Up here we grab everything. This is just really good stuff, toughness, we get some damage here, some quelling here. So those are all really good. Here we get some cooldown reduction. Brain Rupture I don't like, I prefer a Sail, but we have to come here to get Wildfire. Wildfire is really important because, I might have said this already, but as we stack that Soulblaze and kill enemies, we're going to be spreading the Soulblaze onto new enemies, and as a result, the Soulblaze we've already created isn't going to waste, and instead we're just building more and more of it, and enemies that have Soulblaze just die, more and more quickly as a result. So don't interpret this as meaning you can stack up to 4 Soulblaze on an enemy with it. The way it works is, let's say you've got 3 enemies that each have 12 Soulblaze, and they die one after another, and there's one enemy that has 0 Soulblaze. What's going to happen is the first guy's going to die, he's going to put 4 Soulblaze of his 12 onto the enemy that had 0, and now he's dead and the rest of the Soulblaze is gone. The next enemy is going to die, and he's going to put 4 of his 12 Soulblaze onto the enemy that has 4. So this enemy now has 8, because that enemy is receiving 4 stacks from an enemy that had more Soulblaze than it, which is what this perk does. Then the third enemy that had 12 Soulblaze dies. He's going to put 4 stacks onto the enemy that had 8. And now we've created one brand new enemy that has 12 stacks of Soulblaze out of, nothing, for free basically, just from this perk. And when that enemy dies, it will put 4 stacks onto any enemy that has less Soulblaze than it does. That's how this works. And so it is diminishing returns, right? But it does work, and it does keep the Soulblaze going. And it does make a difference. I've done quite a bit of testing, and it is difficult to kind of show in a video directly the impact of, because it's quite random. But or I shouldn't say random, it's chaotic. Um, but it definitely has an impact, and it's a noticeable impact. So coming down here, crit chance. Critical hits make us count as dodging against ranged attacks. This is juicy as fuck. And then 50% more iframes from our dodge and 1 extra dodge. So this is also really good. Both of these are awesome. A bit more damage. Then here we get 20% crit chance. So when I say we have 34% base crit chance, that's incorrect. We have 14% base, and then we get 20% more from this. So this is really good, but the truth is we don't need to be using this all the time to, clear the map. This is more of a, it's not a panic button, but it's a button for, killing bigger enemies, or if there's like a big horde or something. And then on top of that, we want to grab this, which just helps us reach our damage cap more quickly. Now let me show you how this works. I'm gonna spawn all of you guys there, and all of you guys here. So if I press F, you see I'm starting to get peril. And I've got a buff under my health bar, and the stacks are going up. Now if I get weak spot kills, you see I get a bunch of stacks. And so once I reach 30%, what I want to do is the stacks won't go up any further, so I just want to overheat. You don't have to overheat straight away, you can keep it going longer. And while the buff remains, I have all of the effects from that buff. And those effects are, you get 10% damage, 20% crit chance, and 30% more damage on top of that. So that's just the base. So you get, I guess, either 30 or 40% more damage and 20% crit chance. And then from this we get another 30% finesse damage, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's like weak spot crit damage, I think. So we get both of those buffs from what I just did there. Now I ended it really quickly there. You can keep it going a lot longer, but the longer you keep it going, the faster you're going to build up peril. So you see right now it's not building super fast. I can quell, I can play as normal, but the longer you spend in this mode, the faster it's building up, until it builds up so quickly that you will just overheat accidentally if you're not careful. So there I almost overheated, and I started charging at like 30%. And it can creep up on you, and if you're not ready for it, you will overheat, so you do need to be really careful with it. What you will notice though is if you keep it going for a really long time, you only end up having like a 15 seconds cooldown, really. Because when you're done using the ability, the buff still remains for like 5 or 10 seconds. It says 10 seconds on the tooltip, but it looks more like 5 seconds to me. So the uptime for this is more than 50%, but it is kind of scary to use at first. Then we come down here, grab another 5% crit chance, grab this for 20% damage, grab true aim, and then down here we grab this, which is, in my opinion, this needs a rework. I don't like this, but it's all we can afford at this point in the build, so it's what we grab. Now, when it's working, it works really well. It's not bugged, as far as I know, but the problem is it's just not consistent. What this does is it's going to highlight enemies in blue, and if you kill them, you get a buff. And the buff stacks, and it's one buff that has like a strength, which is the number of stacks. But if you have, for example, if you get a kill and then 14 seconds later you get another kill, it's going to reset the timer and increase it by one stack, right? You don't have individual timers for each stack. So it is simple, and it's easy to maintain, but you do need to be hunting down those blue enemies, and sometimes if the situation is spicy and there's like a blue poxwalker hiding behind a barrel somewhere, well, the right decision isn't to kill that blue poxwalker if there's like a mutant and a trapper and a bomber and 5 crushers and 10 million other enemies. You need to be clearing the battlefield first, right? And so this can be difficult to maintain in those situations. And then there's all of the situations where for some reason the game just doesn't give you a blue enemy for like 3 minutes straight, and you lose the buff and you can't get it back until there's a blue enemy. And then you have to start stacking it all over again. So I find it not that great personally. I also don't like the fact that we've gone full circle. You know, we had a Psyker where we needed to brain burst to get our buff, and the buff would run away really easily, and we were constantly brain bursting, and it was annoying, and the devs made changes so that we didn't have to do that anymore, so that it was easier to maintain the warp charges without brain bursting constantly, blah blah blah. And now finally they've done a full rework of the Psyker, and guess what? Oh, we need to wait for the blue enemies and we need to kill them to maintain our fucking buff. But the whole team can see them and kill them, and we don't get the buff if they do that. So it's full circle. We're back where we started, which is absolutely insane to me. But you know, it is what it is, and this is the only option we have if we want to grab true aim, which we really need for this build. So it's a shame. On maps with more enemy density, it's going to be easier to maintain. A lingering influence is a must-have. I think that to make this whole system viable, they should just straight up increase this to 1 minute. Or they should make it permanent. I don't know what to say. I think it's a bad system. And then this also makes it easier to, you know, rebuild the stacks once they're lost. Once the stacks are present though, it is a 30% crit damage bonus, which is massive, and it's a 45% weak spot damage bonus, which is even better. So this is really strong. Sorry, it's just a pain in the ass to deal with. And yeah, that is the whole build. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some damage. Do I have all of my traits turned on? Yeah. So I guess I already showed you the snipers, didn't I? So every time I do this, it's 20. So 60, 80, 100, 120, 140, 160, 180, 200, and that's 100% crit chance. And so they'll just die at this point probably. So that's a combination of wildfire plus all of the Soulblaze we had. You don't need to fight that way. You don't need to, you know, get the headshots honestly when there's just poxwalkers and like weak enemies. Let me finish the. Come on, please. Thank you. What you can do is. Just spam. And and you're gonna put Soulblaze on everything. It would work better if I had the ult going. But that's quite a good way of dealing with like big crowds of enemies. If they're like dispersed, you know, because it can be annoying to kill enemies one by one, you know, shooting them in the face and like trying to line them up. You can just spam basically and hope that it crits. And that would have gone a lot faster if I had my ability up. So there could be 1,000 enemies there, but because it's all AOE and it has infinite cleave, they're all going to die. So that's a very easy way of dealing with that. And then, you know, if I put elites in there, what you need to be careful of is, like I said, if an elite dies from Soulblaze, it's not going to proc that extra Soulblaze itself from the perk. So you want to be killing elites yourself. So here, that's one elite down. And Wildfire is doing its job there. I hadn't ulted for that either. We would have had more Soulblaze if I had. But you get the idea of how this all fits together. Let me show you. So let's grab a mutant here. Let me grab some crit. Okay. And yeah, so you can one-tap mutants with this build. Lucky to get 2 in a row there, but yeah, you can one-tap mutants. Now, that's not a one-tap with the sword right now, because I have no peril, and because I have no stacks of that precision buff. But if I did, it would be a one-tap as well. So it is a tiny bit more situational, but you know, it does work. I mean, you know, if I spawn a bunch of these guys, it's all very much the same. You know, it's... I'm trying to think of what enemies I should be showing here. I want to show some Ogrins. So let's do some bulwarks. So that's interesting. Yep, you can one-tap Ogrins if you get the crit. If you don't get the crit, it's more like a 3-tap. That was a crit as well. Right, so the reason why the crit is a 1-tap and a non-crit is a 3-tap is because the crit is always followed by another crit. And the crit does more damage, and the second crit is a weak spot crit because it's landing in their face, and so it's just that much more damage. But 3-tap is not bad, especially when you take into account the fact that there's going to be Soulblaze everywhere, which is going to make it a 2-tap. In fact, if we do that and we spawn a few flamers to kind of simulate the amount of Soulblaze there might be, you don't even need to attack the bulwark, it's just gonna fucking die from the Soulblaze. So that happens actually a good amount of the time. I wanted to show you, I guess we can look at the gunner. Yes, it's also on top. But without a crit, I think it's a 2-tap. That wasn't even a weak spot hit. I think it is 2 weak spot hits. But it's a bit difficult to land weak spot hits on them sometimes. But again, they'll die from Soulblaze, no problem. I said earlier that the one weakness is these guys. Now if I land a crit here again, it is a one tap, but if you don't get the crit, it's not going to be a one tap. So it's more like a 3-tap. That last hit glitched out for some reason. So yeah, it's I guess it's a 3-tap as well. Now this is the one enemy where the Soulblaze is just gonna do nothing really. Right, it's doing absolutely nothing to him. So I can't say that you're gonna reduce that, right? Now what I can say is if you're playing with other players, they're gonna do damage too, hopefully. And so it should reduce it to a 2-tap, because you're just barely under the 2-tap. In fact, I think if you had high peril, you could probably get the 2-tap. Especially if you're able to land the weak spot hit. Which I just seem to be unable to do today for some reason. Yeah, now for bosses, the strat I would say is like this, but it's really not that good. And then if you stack some Soulblaze, you can then start popping heads. I don't know if it's worth stacking the Soulblaze or not, but yeah, your damage output is dog shit. So yeah, I think that is everything. Try it out. Obviously this is in the test zone, so what we could do is I could quickly hop into a little game. Hello, so I'm editing the video right now, and the rest of this was supposed to be a solo run with bots, which I did on Heresy difficulty, and I just felt, as I'm sure many of you do, that it wasn't representative of what you would expect on Damnation. So I am replacing this with a Damnation run. The run is just, you know, normal intensity with randoms. I don't really like doing, you know, high intensity with randoms, so, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, hopefully later this week I'll be uploading a duo run of high intensity shock troop, at the very least, otherwise it'll be Maelstrom, you know, with me and the other member of Duotide. So, you know, you can watch that if you want to see a run with this build. I'm going to use this build for it. And otherwise, in the meantime, this is what you get. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful or something, I don't know.
Atmospheric shield? Once, perhaps. It's more like a net these days.
Right. I feel my spirits lift. Although I'm sure dark deeds await.
We could all use a little brightness before this world falls into shadow.
Right on the edge of civilization out here, such as it is. But
Alright, you need to extract IDs from the servitor colony, then crack the vault security. You can do this!
You won't leave me behind, will you? I love it. Give me strength.
not so loud now, are ya? Compliments of the guard! Ready!
roughneck.
Another glorious day in Grendel's service, ain't it? It would try to be a bit nicer. Yeah, that's a good point. Not exactly sunshine and grits pumped around here, is it?
If it was, we'd only die of rat poisoning or
Bulwark.
get eaten alive.
You're worse than I thought. And I'm a realist. Takes a lot to shock me.
You're welcome.
We want the ranger!
Having cover! Don't control me.
I see you, Gyno. The beauty is protected.
King exits!
Music!
Yeah? Yeah? Who's dead? You are!
What a splendid healer stick. I hope.
Marla. We need no longer worry about the traffic. I'm sensing rain, light spans.
No, beloved, it's not going to let go like that. It's so gaudy.
How do you like that, Walker? One a scab shot, Leonard. It's good.
Hellshot inbound!
The worst of it is, this mission is light duty. You don't want to see the other kind.
Sharpshooter!
Cargo elevator's locked up in the wrong position. Get it
Not
moving!
bad yet? Not give me.
Oh, beloved, she's not really trying, is she? Someone ought to put her through her paces.
Are you talking about me again, Renee?
Well, sort of. I'm mostly listening. My beloved's doing. You know, he really does like to be the center of attention. I don't think it's healthy.
I reckon you might be onto something there. Is he saying anything nice?
Oh, no, not at all. Sorry. You made me notice. You did.
Hey, ammo! Forward!
Stop hitting armor if it pleases you. Well, I didn't think much of that sniper.
From concealment.
Sharking trappers! History!
got lots of energy. It's invigorating.
Really?
The cargo elevator looks like a giant tongue, gobbling us up into the complex. Fire's out! Oh, lovely! It's killing time! Razor is dead!
Not so loud now, are you?
Oh, look out! He's hungry.
My beloved guided me!
Won't die like this. I am death!
Ready to blow!
Come on, Square! Don't be a bother anymore! For the Emperor! Sure. What is it? Thank you! Got us a cork and sweat! Look out! It's going!
Oh, look, that trapper's being killed!
Let's be sure before we head down there.
Greg, shotgun up! Yes, beloved, a Tox flavor! It's almost there! Throwing grenade!
Contact.
No more flavor break! A merciful
Point and shoot.
Tox flavor! Someone shoot that Tox burger!
either bodies, but not their minds. We should avail ourselves of that med station.
Got to be something round
What a
here.
corking mess! How is any of it still working?
Oh! Is this a game? I like games, as long as I'm winning.
Time to get the time rising. Come on, none of us getting any younger.
Gunner!
This is Hadron. Data interrogation rate acceptable. Your incompetence is showing. Data requires a reboot.
Don't strain yourself, sibling!
See? I can play my part, so can you.
All systems uplink restored.
Stop showing up!
Good luck.
Plague is at the heart of the heritage work. It is so open and its strong there are 40 patrons.
Dark Flamers dead!
We're surrounded!
Help me! Help me! Ranger slain!
Yes, we're all ready for this.
You're souring my drink with blood, Robley!
Don't step in the mess! Compliments of the gods!
Better take sectors.
Ranger is dead!
Stay on track. Hangar Delta 175 isn't far.
Fox flavor, it's dead! Oh yes, I only wish the air smelled a bit nicer. That's so very true. But at least it's a bit unusual. Not like the Morning Star, where everything is oil, wax, and hot metal.
Oh, Rexit! Yeah!
Its victims can rest now.
This way!
Ah!
Over there!
Darking thing dead! Oi! Sneaking around again!
I don't sneak any
That ain't my fault! It's these boots! They're
A
too
warped
heavy!
and brutal foe.
I call the war!
See, we can all breathe. It's dead.
I'm being compatible mine!
Taking the shot! Killed it! Yeah!
Out, out of it, Jesus. Look, a camera!
Flashback!
I shall sweep all before me!
Focus! I'm gonna enjoy this!
The offense matters! Doesn't matter! Just kill
Dead
him!
and gone!
Lovely kill!
See, I'm just as dedicated as you.
Head down! Hangar Delta 175 somewhere below you.
Foxburster, keep it away. Foxburster. Foxburster's gone. Yes, beloved, the barrel's going to explode. beloved, hiding is cheating.
Catch this, heretic! Reaper!
Don't see me coming.
Burster!
And then it exploded.
You reckon we'll ever get there? Billy!
Alas, this fine Imperium finds no value in recuperation.
Get that excise book open and get inside.
Ammo! About time!
Lovely kill!
I need healing.
Oh, I wish we could harness Melk's arrogance as a weapon. War would be over in 3 days.
My very good friend, Lord Darius Smelt, wouldn't be mean to you. After all, you're so far beneath his notice.
Whatever comes next, you'll do better as a group.
Something, something! Sniper! I'm not bad! Splendid!
A healer's station.
Grenade! Oxwalkers!
That's the pneumatic conveyor you'll be using to get the samples out. All right, crack those chambers and find the contagion samples.
Check this! Leave it! Don't get carried away!
We're dangerous with rounds, aren't we, Zilling?
Going sneaking.
Fetch! Gary, is it too much to ask for some help?
Dispatch using pneumatic conveyor. Make haste.
This is what I taste!
So it could die. It's very messy. Oh, here they come.
Take it out!
Ah, that's one.
Over here!
Surprise!
What a mess I've made.
Getting back down!
Hurts. Why does a dream hurt? I see that hottest burster, beloved. Yes.
The Burster is no longer a threat!
Hound's down. The big beauty's down. Someone's brought flame to my dream.
Sniper, find cover! It doesn't look bad!
My beloved guided me.
software?